Imagine a diet full of processed, sugary, and artificial foods. Sadly, that shouldn't be too hard to imagine, considering that 70% of us eat processed foods daily and that 1 in 3 people will have diabetes by 2050. Now, I'm not here today to tell you how to get thin or what it means to train for triathlon, but rather the importance of food and how food actually heals me and how it can actually heal all of you. It's a pretty powerful thing. So I'm going to start with my story. I was 14, I felt terrible, I was sick, I was bloated, and I couldn't stay in class for more than 10 minutes without having to rush out because I was in so much stomach pain. I was in the doctor about every other month getting a new prescription medicine, getting a new blood test, and a new diagnosis. So I was really, really uncomfortable. And I never made the connection that what I ate and how I felt were directly related. And this became a huge step for me. I'd always heard the term, you are what you eat, but when the doctor said it to me, and my new medication would be what was on the end of my fork, really changed my perspective on anything. So I was what they called skinny fat, which is where fat actually accumulates around your major organs, such as your liver, your kidneys, and your heart, and causes the major killers of the world, such as heart disease, stroke, obesity, and diabetes. And sadly, more than 50% of people actually have this right now. So you're skinny, but you eat like crap. So actually on the inside, if you took a lab result, your lab results would be the exact same as someone who is considered obese. So this is a huge problem in the world right now because we are actually making ourselves sick by what we are putting into our mouth. Every time you eat something, you change your gene expression. Now that is a huge deal. That means every time Mr. Jaffe eats an Oreo, he actually is changing and altering his genes. So let me give you an example of just how big of a deal this is. Let's say that my great-grandmother had breast cancer, so I'm predisposed to having the breast cancer gene. Well, by eating whole, natural, and real foods, I actually have the ability to turn off and alter that gene. On the other hand, if I eat terribly, I'm more susceptible to getting that cancer and feeling terrible about myself. So we really want to get rid of all the processed foods and add in real, whole, and natural foods that are going to heal us. I like to say if the president came to your house, you wouldn't feed him Doritos and Goldfish and pizza or Coke. You would want to feed him food that was nutritionally dense, food that tasted good, and a lot of it. I find it really sad that actually 95% of chronic illnesses are directly related to toxic food choice, food ingredients, nutritional deficiencies, and lack of physical exercise. Within one generation, we added in trans fats, sugars, artificial foods, and we got all these new diseases and cancers that never existed before. Some of our healthiest ancestors, the paleo people, ate about 15 to 16 grams of sugar per year per person, and now we eat 500 times that. So that just takes a toll on our system. Every time we eat sugar, it actually punches holes in your stomach lining. So this is what's causing all these sicknesses and disease. But this also means that we have a 95% chance of reversing this. So we really can change this around and make us healthier, one fork at a time. So I believe that there are 3 problems that are contributing to this huge obesity epidemic, and it's partly caused by diabetes. So diabetes plus obesity is known as diabesity. And I use the word epidemic because it's a huge widespread occurrence of, and it's as big as a deal of if it were like a plague. So this is a huge problem in America right now and in other countries. So the first thing is the 80-20% rule. So 80% of how we look and feel is directly related to our diet and our lifestyle, whereas only 20% is actually related to physical activity. Now, I'm not saying that exercise isn't important, but in the bigger scheme of things, there is no possible way you can exercise your way out of a bad diet. So you can't get the nutritional benefits just by exercising, and it will actually make you skinny fat. Next, food in our environment. So food has become cheap, it's become portable, and it's become really sugary really fast. We're marketed all the wrong things to think it's actually healthy when it's really not. We don't know any of the ingredients that are on the back of the little packets of cookies that everyone has over there. And we're also not eating locally and sustainable food. So this is a huge problem. We're spraying pesticides all over our food, we're eating genetically modified food, so we really need to examine what we're putting into our mouth. And last, sugar. As we eat sugar, we actually spike our insulin and blood sugar levels, and we instantly store fat. So we really don't want to be doing this. It's really awful, and that's what's going to increase our waistline. So we want to get rid of the processed and sugar foods and just make it simple. Eat real food. It's really not that hard. People have just made it hard because we market foods the wrong way. So we just want to eat lean, clean, and green. That's what I like to say. And I'll go into depth about that a little bit later. If we look at a brain of someone who's addicted to cocaine or heroin, it's exactly the same as someone who's addicted to sugar. So Mark Hyman says that the food industry actually has hijacked our taste buds, and we do not know how to wean off of that. And that's where our problem really is. So I like to use the words lean, clean, and green. This is kind of like your guidebook to eating. So when we say lean, we want to eat lean proteins that are going to fuel us, give us energy. Those who eat protein actually burn 300 more calories than those who don't. Clean foods, so foods that are naturally detoxifying, going to make you feel great from the inside out. And then a lot of greens. So your plate should always be filled with greens. They taste great. There's a bunch of different ways to cook them. If you have questions, you can ask me. I would be more than happy to give you recipes. And so let's go through a typical day, because a lot of people say to me, that's great, but how do I relate this to my life? How can I actually make a difference? How can I wean off those processed foods? So my mom knows every morning I love to make a smoothie for myself and her. So I have a lot in there. So I have chia seeds, kale, acai, almond milk, bananas. So as many nutrients as I can get packed into one smoothie, while also tasting great and being really satisfying. I love my protein, so egg whites, oatmeal. So this isn't bad stuff. This tastes better than your Cheerios or anything that's fake. This is real food that tastes great, is gonna make you thin, is gonna keep you healthy. So I love it, all great foods. Next meal, for snack, I love nuts. So nuts are great because they're good for your skin, they're good for your heart health. They're low in a glycemic level index, so they won't boost your blood sugar. They'll keep you kind of satisfied for a long period of time without making you crash by eating sugar. So these are great sources of protein. A lot of my friends see me at school with my kombucha and my water because I love drinking a lot of stuff that's going to clear out any of the bad bugs. You have good bugs and bad bugs in your gut. So what I had when I was really sick was too many bad bugs. So by getting more good bugs in there, you're eating foods like this, a lot of kombucha, which is a probiotic. And then lunch. Lunch is one of my favorites. So these are all, you want to have a plate that's constantly full of color. So one of my favorite salads has chicken, there's my protein, pomegranates, clementines, pears, lettuce. This is a butternut squash soup, and this is like a quinoa, corn, rice mix. So anything that's just real. Once again, it's really not that hard. It's just putting the right combinations of food together. And then snack. I have about 3 to 4 cups of tea a day, which is a lot, but I love my tea. It's great for you instead of coffee. If you need a little boost, tea's a great booster. Avocado, edamame. So these are foods that are just really, really simple but taste great and keep you full for a long time. And then you'll see I have my dark chocolate. I love my dark chocolate. I recommend about 2 pieces. It's a great antioxidant. Tastes great. It makes me happy. You'll see popcorn up there, and no, I do not mean the packaged popcorn. I mean these are the popcorns that come in the big containers that only have 3 ingredients. And you want real popcorn, and it probably has olive oil or coconut oil, and then maybe some like sea salt. So really nothing packaged here. And then dinner, I always have salmon and broccoli, my favorite food, sweet potatoes, or anything along the lines of Brussels sprouts. I know Brussels sprouts can be a tough one, but I convinced my dad to like them by just singeing them a little bit. So these are all great foods. They taste great. They're great for your body. And when I'm cooking, I don't think, oh, I gotta make something healthy. My mind just naturally goes to this because they taste good, and I'm already receiving all the nutritional benefits because I know they're good for me. So I like to say, eat less crap and eat more food. That's how you can think of it. So let's get rid of all the food that man-made and bring in all Mother Nature food again, and that's how we'll cure ourselves from all these diseases and feeling like crap. So how does this relate to our world? I've highlighted 3 people here that promote sustainability and overall well-being. Now, I am none of these currently. One day I may go vegetarian, but I love my fish and chicken too much, so that's where I stand right now. But I think it's so important that we're eating sustainable food to help our world. It is our moral obligation that we help our world and that we help ourselves, and we're not reaching our full potential when it comes to how we feel and how we treat our world. So the problem is that as our waistline gets bigger, we actually increase our carbon footprint. We demand more cheap food, and it takes a while and it takes a lot of energy for that food to be distributed to us. So we are making our carbon footprint huge. As we eat more, we become lazy. We don't want to walk, so we drive everywhere, also creating more of a carbon emissions on the planet. So by cutting out red meat and dairy alone, we can actually cut our carbon emissions more than if we stopped driving a car. Now that's a huge statement, because that means we can really have an impact by just cutting out two things that are already really not good for us anyway. So red meat and well, I'm gonna get to that too. Red meat and dairy are directly linked to cancer. And so why would you want to have that anyway? They're also linked to inflammation. So you really want to keep those out of the body either way. And if you know that they're not good for the planet, then that's another reason to kind of get off of them. One of the facts that I love in here is that the soil actually takes CO2 out of the air to make our world a more healthy place. So when we spray pesticides on them and genetically modify food, I think it's terrible that we're actually going against the planet. And why would we do that when our planet only works to help us? We should help it back, and we should want to help ourselves as well. So let's reverse this. How do we reverse it? I say live a positive, present, and fun life. Eat good foods, have fun. Food is a way of connecting with others. It's a very social thing. So you really want to constantly be eating food that looks good and tastes good. And it's so sad when I'm here and I see kids eating bags of chips and dairy and all that, because they really have no clue that actually they have a shorter life expectancy than their parents. 40% of kids in New York alone are considered obese, which is terrible. So we really have to make people aware and make this a social movement and help them to live a positive lifestyle. So eat lean, clean, and green for nutrition. That's kind of my guideline. And then exercise every day. These are some exercises I love that really get your heart rate up, keep you lean, keep you feeling great. They also boost your endorphins, so you're gonna be happy, especially during exams. These are a great way to be sane. So you say you want to be healthy. I say start with one thing. So for me, let's cut out red meat and dairy. So you're not only helping your insides, but you're also helping the environment. But for you, it could be, I want to wean off processed and packaged foods because I don't know those ingredients. Does anyone really know those ingredients? Add an exercise every day. It's going to make you happy. Journal what you eat and how you feel. This became something that was important to me when I didn't feel well. I would journal, wow, I just had a whole bag of dried mangoes and I feel terrible. So let's note that. And then I do some research and I find out dried mangoes are a processed carb. That's why they make me feel bad, because they're not actually good for me. And then it's all about balance. So a lot of people say to me, oh, you're so boring, you never have cookies, you never have pie. But if you talk to my mom, that is so false, especially around the holidays. I love my cookies, I love my pie, and it really is all about balance. So 95% of the time, you want to be eating healthy, you want to be eating lean, clean, and green foods, whole foods, natural foods, fresh foods. But then you do have 5% of that time where you can splurge, because it's all about balance, it's all about feeling great. So I want to leave you with the last quote. Most people have no idea how good their body is designed to feel, and I think that's entirely true. When I got rid of my symptoms in about 1 week, I felt so much better, and we all have the potential to feel great and look great, starting with one fork. So I hope that this inspires you, and let's make it a social movement. Thank you.